we want to leave with more. And you believe in reincarnation, like that's the basis, like that's the part of Hindu religion, right?
That's a part, yes. And again, in the even in so many, in almost all texts, all of the very deep texts, it's this has been talked about. Even in the
Mm-hmm.
Gita, even
Mm-hmm.
in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells
Because
Arjuna that.
that's not part of Christianity, but I do
Hmm,
firmly
hmm,
believe that we live many times.
yeah, yeah. So whatever basic understanding even I have had about Christianity and other religions, so a lot of other religions, they don't have the understanding. It's a very straight line perspective.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
perspective is very straight line, like this. But in Sanatana culture, the Hinduism, in the Hindu culture, it's very cyclical. It's the same in Jainism, Sikhism, and Buddhism as well. That it's
makes
very
more sense.
cyclical. Nature, universe is cycle.
Yeah.
We call even the universe. There is a. I'll now here I'll give you a very interesting word about universe in Sanskrit. The universe is called as Brahmand. Brahmand. Brahmand means the cosmic egg.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
say, even I think, even in physics, I think even in these astronomical studies, they say that the shape of the universe is almost like an egg. It's an elliptical shape.
Yes. Yeah.
This this phenomena has been understood thousands and years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Even
How is that
Sumerians.
possible?
If you
Even
look
I've not
at
been able to understand, but somehow it has been understood hundreds and thousands of years ago.
in the
And the
Sumerian
word,
scripts, like you can
yeah,
see they knew exactly how many planets there are in the solar
yeah,
system. They knew about the iron bracelet. They knew about everything.
yeah,
It's all there, and they
yeah,
said we didn't know this. We got this from our gods.
yeah,
It's not our knowledge.
yeah,
They're like, oh, who taught you our agriculture? It's like, no, it's the gods that taught us.
yeah,
Which
yeah,
is interesting. And I was like, thinking about gods as someone that actually helps you, that actually helps you evolve into a better human. That
yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, I could
Yeah.
work with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So just like this, you have so many other words which have like really old roots.
Mm.
It's not something very new. And some of them are so deep. And even when I studied about them or read about it, heard and listened to other people. So even I'm baffled at how old is this? How, and it's not just mystical, the element of mysticism and all of that, but there is wonderment, and there is actually, it opens up your eyes to so many different perspectives. And that's why, in this rebirthing and all of that, they say that this is a very cyclical process. Life has a very cyclical process. And when, even scientifically, when you say the law of physics, energy cannot be created nor destroyed.
No.
So are you not energy? Is there energy? That energy is not in you. Are you saying that you are separate from energy and energy is separate from you? How is that possible?
No, I
The
was 100.
same atoms that you are studying in space, molecules, atoms are in you too. You are also made up of that, of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So once
Yeah.
they disintegrate from this body, what's going to happen to that energy? That energy is not just going to stay. It's going to change.
Mm.
It's going to change. It has to. Even if you
Yeah.
go by scientific law, there's no
Yes.
question, there's no doubt about it. And I'm very sorry to say, I'm being very blunt. If you have doubts, go back to a
Yeah. Yeah.
scientific process.
Did you? I read
Go
an
back to the
article.
very roots of physics, the laws of physics.
I've been
Even for
attacked by this little fly. It's just flying around me. Come on, fly, leave. Uh,
yeah,
no, I was reading an article recently, and it said that what scientists started noticing, it's the effect that they have on the experiments. So if
yeah.
you do an experiment with a certain belief, there is a tendency that that experiment will turn out that way. So in a way, they have been affecting the experiment with their beliefs.
Possible,
So
possible.
this is the energy as well.
Yeah,
Like we are able to create our realities as well. Like we are not, we are powerful actually. humans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's we have this energy too, and
Yeah.
I've seen, like, when my mom passed away, I saw her spirit live being, like,
Mm.
going out of her body in the same
Yeah.
moment when
Yeah.
she passed away, and I had no doubts
So,
anymore.
and you know what, Anna, there are so many such reports and stories. Of course, sometimes some people make it up, but I'm sure not everybody is making it up.
Yeah.
Like, how is it possible out of 100 people, even if 20 people are having it, such an experience, there has to be some truth. There
Mm-hmm.
is some truth behind it. It's not
Mm-hmm.
that you can just sort of deny that it's not there at all.
No, 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 no.
I
I
think,
had a lot of experiences with my grandmother, with my mom's mother.
yeah.
We didn't have any kind of really close relationship or anything,
Hmm.
which was kind of weird. But when
Hmm.
she passed away, that's when our relationship started. Actually,
Hmm.
she started visiting me a lot in my dreams and showing me things and telling me stories. And at that point, I didn't understand why, but now I know that she wanted
Hmm.
me to know some things.
Yeah.
And then when I talked with my mom about this, and she's like, "How do you know this?" She was very shocked, and even
Yeah.
when I told her once, like, I had a dream of grandma, and she's like, "Oh, we need to go to the graveyard and to light a candle." And I had this crazy dream of I went to her grave and I dropped into the ground, and I was
Hmm.
like, and she was in the coffin, and she died. She couldn't move, like, she had a stroke, so she was completely, like, she had no, um, she couldn't move at all. And she was like, she told me, like, "Oh, and I'm very scared. I can't move. And there's a man beside me, and I'm like terrified of this man." And I was very confused. I was like, "Why are you still here? Like, you passed away. You need to go. It's time for you to leave." And she was like, "But I can't move." And I'm like, "No, it's okay. You can move now. Now you can get up." So I help her get up. And the second day when we went to the graveyard, actually a day before, a man was buried beside my grandmother.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think, um, in kind of a way, I think she knew that I am the person that she can reach out for help.
Yeah.
Because I think she had such a strong connection to her body
Hmm.
that she didn't want to leave it.
Hmm. Yeah. Possible, because uh, that's what, again, the rebirth and the soul moving out and all of
Mm-hmm.
that comes there. Uh, from what I've understood and what I've heard and I've discussed upon and I've seen is that, they say, even in many yogic texts, this is also talked about a little bit, how, uh, where's the soul and how does it move. In some of the tantric texts, the tantra texts of tantra also talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
They say that, because it's energy, it's like energy, it's the core of your energy, everything.
Yes.
And energy is neither created nor destroyed. The body is getting
Yeah.
destroyed, but the its core energy is not. So what happens is, it said that, uh, in the ancient masters, a lot of people understood this phenomena, that when an individual passes to a certain extent for some days, the soul lingers around the body. It
Yeah.
stays here, and there is a specific period for it to get beyond,
Mm-hmm.
to the, like, really completely get away from the body.
Yeah.
So hence, when the soul, soul has already gone out of the body, now it's only three senses are active. It can see, it can hear, and it can, I think, uh, it can neither touch. Uh, only two senses are active, rather. It can
Uh-huh.
only see and
And here.
this hear.
Yeah.
It can't touch. It can't smell. It can't speak. It can't taste things. These are the five senses, right? The eyes, ears, nose, the tongue, and the skin. Feel. Yeah. So the only just the two or three senses are active even then. So, they say that, that when this happens, the soul is still in a state of shock. It's like because it's just got out of the body.
Yeah.
Now it has to it stays there for some time, and then there are certain rituals and practices done, which are to bring that energetic separation of the soul and let it move forward. So if I have to talk about the Hindu traditions, there is usually a period of 15 days or 16 days, they say, that of mourning. And of course, beyond that also there are certain things that we do. When the body dies, then we do not bury the body.
Hmm.
We put it on a funeral pyre and we set it to fire, with the understanding that the body has to go back to the five elements to which it has come from.
There is a
So
good
when you are,
reason for it as well,
yeah,
because often what I've seen, because I only have the practical experience on this matter, is that
hmm,
a lot of people still have deep connections to their bodies. So it's better
yeah,
if the body is gone, actually.
yeah,
If
yeah,
there is a body still in a coffin, a lot of them will have the tendency to still try to linger around it because
hmm,
there's a deep connection with it, especially in
yeah,
Western civilizations, because
yeah, yeah,
we here identify with our bodies too much.
hmm, yeah,
So I think there is a good reason for that, and a
yeah.
lot
It,
of
it is.
old religions were
Yes, it
actually
is there.
doing this.
Of course, it is there. Of course, there are other aspects also to it, that the soul can still linger on.
Hmm.
Uh, Again, the karmic factors also come into play sometimes. Because the what is the quality of death for an individual? Has the death happened all of a sudden, before time, premature, or in an accident? So there are many layers to it. There are many. It's a very very intricate subject. But so far so good. More or less, what happens is, when this soul is out, then all of those rituals have to be done. It's the body is set alight, and to the fire, and
Hmm.
uh, as it burns, it becomes turns into ashes. The earth element, it goes to the earth, and it burns. It goes to the wind and the space element and the
Hmm.
fire element,
Hmm.
and then water is sprinkled around that dead body before it is burned. And even after that, there are a lot of rituals that involve water ablutions. So you offer water
Yeah.
on certain type of grains, and certain type of flowers
Hmm.
are
Hmm.
placed.
Hmm.
And those rituals, they go on for about 15 days, which is ideally the eldest son of the family, of the father. He has to do it. And
Hmm.
if the son is not there, the daughter is there, then maybe uh, the eldest nephew, if he is there, then he is to do. And if there's no nephew, nothing, then the daughter will do.
Hmm.
And again, there are specific reasons. It's not that they're biased towards men or women. There is a logic behind it. There is a
Yeah.
sensibility, discretion around it.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, in some places, they even say that women, don't let the women go to the cemetery ground, to the near a funeral pyre, because already it's so traumatic, and
Yeah.
women are so emotionally built. It's the natural instinct of a women that are being honored, respected. Don't let them go. They get more traumatized if they
Yeah, no,
go there.
it's true. I remember even when I was a child, if, for example, like an animal passed away in the family, it was always the father that would be like, "Oh, you girls stay, and I'll
Yeah,
take care of it."
yeah.
And honestly, I wouldn't like to be the one to do it either.
Mm.
It's I don't
See,
know. There's something, us women are more. We feel things more, I think. So
yes.
things like that affect us more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that there is nothing to be ashamed about it, or there's nothing good or bad about it. It's just how nature has built us up.
Hmm.
There's uh, no shaming or anything of that sort here. But yes, of course, there are also, as I said, that a woman or a daughter is also allowed to do certain rituals if there are certain things, if the sun is not there. So like this, there are many rituals, and then we take those ashes, out of those ashes, we pick up certain bones of the
Okay.
departed ancestor, and we take it to a holy river like the Ganga, the Ganges, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we offer it into the Ganges.
Mm-hmm.
So the water element also comes into picture once
Mm-hmm.
again. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it is said that because Ganges, the Ganga, I wouldn't say Ganges because it's again a very uh, English name given to it. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
But yes, I'll call it, the original name is Ganga. Ganga
We
is said
call
to
it Ganga in Croatian as well. We don't call
oh,
it
okay.
Ganges. Yeah.
Okay. So Ganga, they said, is believed to flow from the matted locks of Lord Shiva.
Mm.
And she touches the feet of Lord Vishnu. So because it's coming from that source, carries the power of these deities, all divinities, and hence the last rites, especially when that, and of course celebrations are also done around Ganga. It's not just the last rite, but especially the last rites. The ashes are flown into Ganga,
Mm-hmm.
and before they are flown, we do a certain ritual, which is uh, as we call it, a puja or a offering for the upliftment of the soul. That now the soul is transitioning, it is going forward. May it be at peace. May it transition peacefully. May it transition to further life form or whatever birth it may take or may not. We don't know. Because
Yeah.
after that, we can't see anything. We don't know.
No, no.
All
Once
we
the
can do is,
soul
yeah,
leaves
all
this
we can do is pray.
reality, it's a
Yes,
puzzle.
you can just pray, offer your, that uh, the ablutions and all of that, and see, it's a very energetic process, very
Mm.
energetic process. There are also specific chants, mantras, which are done during this entire process. Those mantras you can't do practice them at home in your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
By the
Mm-hmm.
way, they're only and specifically to be done for that process. They're not meant to be done at home or in daily
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
So you see, there is a lot of categorization for what needs to be done, when, how, uh, in what way, all of that.
We don't have
And
any.
then,
We don't have anything here. We're like we have when a person passes away. You know, you get like some kind of medical service to pick him up. Goes to a
hmm,
funeral home. Here in Ireland, they have this mourning period, so they would leave the person's body at home, and then they would, I think, stay for 2 days with the person that passed away. In
mhm,
Croatia, usually the body is taken away immediately and kept in a freezer.
okay,
And then the funeral would occur. You would get a priest to say a couple of words about the person, usually
mhm,
stupid things because that person doesn't know the person that passed away. So the priest was my mom passed away on my father's birthday, which is
hmm,
interesting. So he was obsessed with that, the priest, and but he didn't know the backstory. It was my mom's way to give one last final screw you
hmm,
to my dad. But he thought it was a sign of love, so he had this very long speech about the love between my parents, which
hmm,
wasn't there. But and I was like standing at the funeral, I was thinking, if when I die, you're not gonna do this to me.
hmm.
um, and you put the body into the ground. Everyone comes in, takes a bit of dirt, drops it
Yeah,
on the
I know that.
coffin,
Yeah, thought, yeah,
and the grave is closed, and that's it. And there's
yeah,
no. I think here in the West, we try to avoid death at any cost. Like, when the death occurs, everybody's running away from it. It's like,
hmm,
okay, let's get this done as soon as possible so we can go back to our normal lives and not think about our own mortality.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, it's not very nice. Like, you're not allowed that grieving period. I remember
hmm,
even when my mom passed away, I was in the middle of my college. So I went back to college, and that was like a month after. And I remember my teacher saying to me, "Okay, Anna, you had your grieving period. Now you need to get, your shit back together, and you need to like." And I couldn't. Like, you
hmm.
cannot rush such thing as grief.
Especially,
It's
especially, I think when it's when it is the I think the death of a very, very of a parent or a grandparent or a sibling, for that matter.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, of course, we all, and a lot of this is also addressed in constellation work also, as you yourself are doing that. The grief of losing uh, prematurely a sibling, or to a miscarriage, or to an abortion, or to a sudden accident, or to a sudden ailment, all of these things. So, and this was understood even uh, in age old Indic practices. It was already understood, you know
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
when you when it comes to talk about death and all of that, this subject here in India, um, in the Hindu culture, if we talk about, we consider in one of the trinities of the three forms of divine, like Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, who maintains and operates. God, generator, operator, destroyer. So
God.
yeah, that's
God.
what God is. Generator,
Yeah.
operator, destroyer, right?
Hmm.
And the word, the moment people listen, hear this word destroy, oh my God, destroy. Hare, but
Yeah,
if
because
there
we
is,
don't want, the culture is that we don't want any negative
yeah,
traits
that,
connected with our
the
gods, and which is
connotation is
ridiculous.
such, but here destruction is, destruction
Necessary.
actually means transformation.
Yes.
If, and of course, if something is not destroyed, how will something new get created?
Yeah.
How will you
Yeah.
create space for the new if
Yeah.
the old is not discarded and destroyed, decluttered, so to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so that aspect of nature, of this universal power, we call it as Shiva. Many other names.
Mhm.
Shiva has many other, Rudra, Shiva, Mahesha, all of that. So we say that in the, we don't have graveyards, but we call them cemetery areas, or the funeral area.
Mhm.
It's a very separate area, the funeral grounds. In the
Mhm.
funeral grounds is where Shiva prominently resides. Why? Why? Oh, he's a god. Why should he be there? But it is God who has to give you salvation, right? He has to.
It's the
It's the
same in
godly
ancient
power.
Roman or Greek religion. You had Hades. You
Yes,
had,
Hades, of
like,
course, of course. Hades is there.
yeah.
Similarly, Shiva. But I think again, in the Greek culture, I think it becomes a little violent. But here they say, here we have understood that Shiva sits in the funeral grounds to, uh, they say that Shiva, on his body, he smears ashes, ashes of the dead on his body. Why? Because it's the compassion that,
Mm.
okay, okay, you have turned to dust, my dear, I take you back to myself. I
Mm.
take you back to myself.
Mm.
I take you back and give you peace. That is the meaning of why Shiva is seen smearing those ashes or sitting in the cremation grounds.
You know that we still put coins into coffins of our death, even though it has nothing to do with Catholic tradition. Like, we still put coins in for them to be able to pay for
Uh-huh.
their travel to the other
Just like
world.
they do it in the Greco-Roman culture, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Some of the traditions survived, like Christmas tree survives, has
Hmm.
nothing to do with, Jesus or his birth. Or what else survives? A lot of things, actually. The rabbits
Yeah.
for Easter, which have
Mm.
nothing to do with Christ being reborn. It's actually a
Yeah.
symbol of fertility. So a lot
Mhm.
of pagan stuff made its way to the modern world. Also, what we do is when someone passes away, we put cloth on the mirrors. We hide the
Mm.
mirrors.
Yeah.
I actually don't know why. Is
Mm.
I remember that always being done in my house. Like they would put. Uh,
So I think that's done in, even in India in some places, because they
is
say
it?
that uh, it's a transition period, and mirrors can act as portals to the other world and
Yeah.
all of that. There's a belief, this understanding around it. So
Mm-hmm.
hence they, I think, probably do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, that death is a very deep, strong, powerful experience, and it
Yeah.
has a deep science and a lot of depth to it, because it's such a uh, it hits you in the face.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate reality. That
Yes.
is you are going to turn into a heap of ashes one day. Me, you, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at
And
the end
it's
of it,
at
like,
that, like I hope we're going to be old people by then. And I've talked with some of my grandparents, and they said it's at a certain point you start greeting death as an old friend and embracing it,
yes,
because your body gets so tired and it is ready to go. Like your soul
yes,
is ready to go to other adventures. In like I remember my grandfather saying, like, you know what, I had a great life, I'm ready to go.
yes. See the beauty, the power in death. It
Yeah.
will give its signs even before it happens.
Yes. Yeah.
This, and no science has been able to prove it, how it is possible till date. How a person is able
Yeah.
to understand and feel and see their death. My grandfather, uh, he passed in 2022. It's 24, yeah, 2022, in the end of July, 27th of July, yeah, 27th of July, early morning at 7 a.m. And before, uh, he 1 month before, almost 1.5 months before, uh, he had become a little bedridden because his legs had given up, and he was talking and he was eating, but his eating capacity also reduced to minimal. He would talk and everything, and so what would happen is that he would often stare in empty space like this, often like this.
My mom used to
Empty
talk
space.
with someone quite a lot.
And empty space. It's like as if he is zoned out. He's just zoned out. And I'll go and like grandpa. I'll call him, granddad, what's happened? He said, oh, nothing, nothing. He will just ignore it, nothing, nothing. And he, I think almost 1 year before, 1.5 years rather before, he would often, say to me, oh, now it's time for me to just go. You know, I've I've completed my innings of life. He often say, this is the end. This is the last innings of life that I'm playing. I'm just playing it out. And that actually came true just within an year, 6 months time, 7, 8 months time. And before that, and just before that, as I said, this was his reaction and response, is staring in empty space at times.
Often
And
what
he would
happens,
sometimes he would also he would also because he was also he was not even able to speak properly, because he would get so tired. He would feel so tired and exhausted in the body. He wouldn't even speak sometimes. He would just, through sign language kind of a thing, he would indicate like this. He would point out, okay, you want to have something? I'll go and ask him, do you want to have something? You want to drink something? You want to eat something? Like he would do it. He would do it like this. He wouldn't just speak. And sometimes he would just hold my cheeks like this, my face like this, and he would just look into my eyes.
it often happens also that on the last day they get hungry and they want to eat something, even though
Yeah,
if they couldn't eat for months. Like that happened with my mother. Like she
yeah.
couldn't eat, she was under, like she had chemotherapy and radiation
Mm,
that completely
mm,
destroyed her stomach, so she couldn't eat for a month.
mm,
And on the morning when she passed away, she told me, like, and she barely spoke because she was under morphine, so like she wasn't even aware. She
mm,
said to me, I'm hungry.
mm,
And I was, what is happening? So I gave her some food, and that was the last food she had. She passed away that day,
mm, mm.
and it was strange. And I talked with someone about that, and that person told me, like, very often, like that's almost like their last meal before they leave.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, which is interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because food has a very special connection to
Mm.
our nourishment, to the body's nourishment,
Yeah.
and food is a very strong impression in our subconscious, in our minds. Impression not in a bad way, but a very humanistic, deep impression for our survival.
Yeah.
So it becomes like a very strong thing for subsistence, for I want to eat something or something, or I don't want to eat at all. I'm
Yeah.
just done. I don't want to eat at all.
Yeah.
That was the opposite case for my grandfather. He just didn't want to eat.
Mm.
And the day he passed, uh, he was all fine in the morning. He was talking to me. He had spoke very all good and fine.
Yeah, they get this extra boost
Suddenly,
of energy
you know,
at the end.
that's what, as they say, death is sudden and sure. Suddenly, by 3 p.m., he started experiencing palpitations, and he started feeling nausea. And around 4 o'clock or so, he had these, he barfed. He literally vomited blood. He vomited blood. Sometime a little bit of it, and then he vomited 4 5 times in continuous breaks, in intervals, and he saw it, and he asked my mom, क्या है ये, what is this, in Hindi he's asking, क्या है ये, what is this. So mom just tried to ignore it. No, no, nothing, nothing, it's okay, it'll be fine. But he saw it. Even in that weak instant, he saw it. What's there? He knew, and he said, "Oh, it's blood. It's blood, right? Okay." And then he said one line. He said, his elder brother, who passed years back. Um, this is the same thing that happened to my elder brother. He noticed it and he passed that comment. And then he was very weak. He was still talking. But then immediately we arranged for an ambulance and everything. And then they took him, and mom and dad went into the ambulance, and they asked me to stay back and with grandma, and my aunt was here, my uncle was here, everything. We stayed back. They both of them went. And they took him and everything in the emergency and all of that stuff. But I had a premonition somewhere that I think he is not going to come back. So when I went, I mean, when he was taken into the ambulance, he was still talking, at least quite a bit. He was still in that awakened sort of a state. But when I went to see him at the hospital, I slept barely, like just a few hours that night. And I went to pick up my uncle, and at 1 a.m. at night, 1:30 a.m., I saw my granddad. He was shriveled like this. He was like this when he went. He was like weakened, but he was still like
Yeah,
upright. Fit.
they get really small.
Yeah, I mean, suddenly, very fast, like you've seen a toffee wrapper when it's shriveled up like this.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
that. His body was like that. And by that time, the doctors had also like sort of said that, uh, there are very less chances of him surviving because the organs had started to give up
yeah.
within. And he's just shriveled like this, like this. And he was on anesthesia. Had kept him on this a machine. What is the dialysis machine or something like that?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah, ventilator. Sorry,
Oh,
ventilator.
the
They kept him
ventilator. Okay. Yeah.
on. By early morning, I came back. I came back at 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m. I came back home and I slept. I barely slept, and mom called me up at 6:30. Get up. He's no more. So it hits. It suddenly hits.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you are, because you've grown up with that person, so you suddenly can't understand what's happened.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's how death is. That's how sure and certain death is, and that is the reality. That is the reality that we may not consciously understand. But the entire idea of, even when we are looking at spirituality, is to establish that reality in us at the same time while you are growing as a person, that one day you are going to become this. So what is What kind of pride, what anger, what lust, greed, jealousy? For whom are you doing this? For what are you carrying this?
And
You
my
know?
mom passed away, so I got to meet her once more before she permanently left this reality. So I met her after she passed away. It took me around 4 days. I was trying to contact her, but and then I think I had to leave the house, and I went to my partner's house, and I slept over there, and I had a dream of her,
Mm,
and she said that she's coming to say goodbye. And that
mm,
she has to leave and she's going where a lot of other people are going as well. She's like, it's
mm,
very busy. And she just told me that she regrets that we didn't hug more.
mm.
He said nothing else, that's why I always say, even if you're angry at someone, or just at the end of the life, all that is not going to be important.
Yeah,
It's the love and things like that that you're going to remember, the
yeah.
closeness, and all the ego issues, and all the winning a fight, or like, okay, sometimes maybe it's important, but mostly it kind of isn't.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
life is short, and you never know when you're gonna lose someone, so you better appreciate them.
yeah, yeah,
That's what death teaches us.
yeah, yeah. And that's
Mm.
that's where, even when you talk about rebirth and reincarnation, is the whole idea is this, that even if the energy transmutation that's happening, this energy leaving this body and taking another body,
Mhm.
at least you uplift yourself,
Yeah,
you fine tune yourself so that this energy finds, let's say, a better body, a
yeah.
better birth, even if you are going to take a rebirth. And then there are, of course, higher concepts like moksha and liberation and all of that. That's a
Mhm.
very, it's a very high level of uh, state of being. And of course, there have been such illumined saints and high level souls who have walked this earth.
But
But
that's the purpose, isn't it? I
yeah,
always, I mean, I wasn't raised in an Eastern, religions like
yeah,
Hinduism, Buddhism, but I always had this understanding that karma is basically what you do in this life will result in something, um, either happening in this life or in another, good
yeah,
or bad. And it's not just about doing good or bad things. It's about spiritual evolution as well.
yeah, yeah.
That's the end
So
goal. It's not just like, oh, I gave money to the poor.
uh,
It's
yeah,
not as simple as that.
yeah. So this angle of karma is also very intricately uh, fixed in all of how life evolves and moves. Uh, Karmas, as people say, that it's retribution. It's always retribution. It's not always retribution. It's just the balance of give and take.
Yeah.
Just the balance of give and take. If you are breathing, you have to breathe out. And if you're
Yeah.
breathing out, you have to breathe in. Karma is exactly that. What you do, you gets back to you.
Yeah.
You know, and
Exactly.
and however you do, in what way you do, all those intricacies follow the theory of karma.
Let me give you some examples. So I did a lot of like things with some of my clients about like past life regressions and
Hmm.
things. So I had an example of this person that in his past life he was not a nice person to women.
Mm-hmm.
So like he would use them, some of them got pregnant with him, and he disowned the children, he didn't
Mm,
take
mm.
responsibility there.
Yeah.
And guess what happened? In his new life, he was born as a child of a single mom.
Mm. Mhm. See, that's and again, it's see again now some people who may say, oh, it's fatalistic. People are very quick to judge
No,
without
it's he
understanding the essence
felt
of it.
guilt probably for it on his
Yeah.
deathbed, and the universal energy or whatever sent him back to fix
Mm.
it, to make balance, to balance the energy out. You were extreme on one side, now you got to experience the other side as well, and you're going to find balance at the end,
Yeah.
hopefully.
So as they say that the scales of the universe of nature, you cannot easily tip them off.
It's beautiful, I love it.
And and it's like it's so in the face that you cannot deny it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you are denying this, I'm sorry, I think, I don't know, probably there's somewhere a lack of common sense, or maybe you are just denying the very mechanics of how the nature functions, how universe functions. But it's there. I mean, every day you have stars, comets which are falling down. Every day you, and every star that falls, or a comet that falls, there are something new comets that are coming up. The creation is happening. It happens. It is maintained. It is destroyed. God. This God is not a figure sitting outside somewhere. The figures are something that we have given, definitions that we have given, but it's way beyond that. The creator, the power, so to say, the source. And it's operational in every single, it's, that's why they say in our Eastern philosophies and in our Eastern culture, we say the divine resides in your heart, because it's even in your body that God is operating. Something is getting generated, something is operating, something is getting destroyed every single day and moment.
And
So they say
certain,
that
yeah,
you are
certain
not at all separate
decisions.
from God. You're not at
Yeah.
all separate from God. How, if you say that there is a creator and you are its creation, are you separate than the creator and the creation? No. The creator itself has infused itself into its creation.
Mm, mm, mm.
From the surface of it, see, it's like the artist who creates the art on the canvas. The art and artist may be separate, but because that art is created by the artist, so it carries the essence of the artist, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is.
What I also like to think about, when you think of karma, it's a lot of people think it's a punishment, right, for whatever
Yeah.
you do wrong, but it's not true.
Yeah.
In Egypt, where when you pass away, they would weigh your soul against a feather. So if your soul was
Ah,
light as a feather, then you kind of go into what
yeah.
what was their heaven.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. It's not always that the bad actions result in attracting negative energy. For example, one of my friends asked me recently, how come I have a good relationship with my father after everything he has done to me and my family?
Hmm.
And it is through the release of this energy that I held against him, and through purifying that I can have a good relationship with him and transform that. So
Yeah.
actually I released what I was carrying. So I am actually in positive. If I held to the grudge, if I held to the hate, would that be bad for me or for him? It
Hmm.
would be bad for me.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but of
Right.
course it's not simple. Sometimes the emotions are very complex, and it's not just so easy to let go of something. You really have to walk that road and
Yeah.
find ways to
Yeah.
get peace within you, and to find capacity to love someone that perhaps hurt you, and to transform the relationships. But it is also for me, not only for him. I want my soul to be light as a feather. And
Of
I
course.
can't if I carry grudges, if I carry hate, if I carry, and
Hmm.
imagine carrying that into the next life as well.
Yeah.
That's how you
Yeah.
attract things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So likewise, like you have various stories about heaven and hell. We also have that kind of a concept, even in Eastern philosophies, in Jainism, Buddhism, Hinduism also. And I think that's not incorrect, because if there is a high, there is a low. If there is a
Yeah.
low, there is a high.
Yeah.
Always. So it, and again, it depends on, again, your karma, the dharma
Yeah.
that you follow, that you do.
Yeah.
It can take you up or it can take you down. It's in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
large chunk of it is in your hands, right?
Yes.
So
The power of free will. The best
of
thing in the
course,
world.
yes. Yes. I mean, when we see, this is another thing that, when people talk about God, God, goddess, or that force or power, they say this. It seems as if there is some person ready to sit and, bang them in their head and bash them up and
Whip
then set them
them,
right.
burn them in the
They have
hellfires.
to, yeah. I mean, they have always been.
Hell is a state of mind.
Hell and heaven is all in your hands. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even in even if I go back to the Puranas, the ancient scriptures, there are many stories, but there is a Purana called Garuda Puran. Garuda is the divine vehicle of Lord Vishnu. And this is a conversation between Vishnu and Garuda, by the way. The
Mhm.
entire Purana. It's a very, very intense Purana. And it is usually read when somebody dies
Uh-huh.
in a family. So after their death, you call a priest or somebody, like, so well versed with it. So they come and they read the stories out of it. And it's a very intense one. That, that's how Lord Vishnu is talking, that, if this person does this, that's the kind of equivalent to it. This is the kind of uh, pain that they get, or the reward that they get. All of these things are also talked about.
Mhm.
But he's not there. He's not saying that I am sitting there and doing it for you. I'm going to judge you. He's also saying, what he says is that it depends on the kind of karma and what you are, how much are you willing to elevate yourself, or how much are you willing to desecrate yourself. All that
Yeah.
elevation and desecration is largely, huge chunk of it is in your hands. It's
It
your
is.
accountability too. I have
Yeah.
given you a brain. I have given you these five senses. I have given you a certain, be it rich or poor, I have given you those faculties. Now, what you are going to decide, do with those faculties, I leave it up to you. I am not going to interfere there. And there is no concept of Satan or some other ethereal being trying to entice me. No, it's my own
It's you.
internal jealousy, greed, hatred, violence uh, that I'm programmed into, or that is my perception has been programmed, that will take me up or down in life.
Yeah. Yeah. I never understood the concept of temptation either. It's just like so alien to me. What is temptation? It's like if you have some kind of urges or wishes or something, they're your own. You need to like inspect them and see where they're coming from, and what is it that you
Yeah,
truly
yeah,
need behind them, not to blame someone else for it, or also like scaring people away from like it could never be like if you try to scare people away into obedience through possibility of hell where there's eternal suffering, it will never work really, because if people are going to just do things out of fear of being punished, but it's never going to be their true, heart's desire. And
exactly. Mm.
I always think that all of us in the end want to be good people and want to do the right thing.
Yeah,
um, it's just like we were lacking resources to get to that point for a while,
yeah,
and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's what that's where free will comes into picture. That, you can, and you have the resources, the support, the help, or the intelligence, the skills to, let's say, improve your life or yourself. The entire idea is to move. Actually, I think in today's time, true evolution is that. How much are we able to uplift ourselves? Because either heaven, hell, higher space, lower space, it's all on you, what you are going to decide. And sometimes karma plays a role in that, because if you, let's say, if 10 lifetimes you have been a murderer, somebody has been a murderer, in the 11th time again they come back and do the same thing,
yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
even I think then God is also going to pull out his hair and say, what the hell are you doing?
What are you doing, you
I'm
crazy
giving you a
person?
brain, I'm giving you everything. So you're not even thinking, what do you really need? What are you trying to say? But jokes apart, of course, uh, there is free will. There is free will. And of course, I mean, I'm not getting into the intricacies of it. There can be many ifs and buts here, but there's no point in getting into excessive hypotheses until and unless we understand the crux of it,
Yeah, I
because
mean,
there is
even
no end to hypotheses.
if you look at astrology, and obviously you can see certain things that you are coming with on this planet. You can see a lot of karmic stuff as well,
Yeah.
but also your gifts and everything. But also it's not like, oh, you have a good, you know placement there for a great career, but it's not going to happen by itself.
Yeah,
You need to make that, you need to manifest that. Yeah, maybe you have an upper hand in it, maybe you're going to be super talented and your luck is going to be on your side, but it's again your action and your decisions. And I've
exactly.
seen many people with incredible talents that never did anything with them.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
they made all the wrong choices.
Exactly. They are